I don't talk about UFOs. We've known for years what they are.
It is the most complex, most extraordinary thing that has ever happened to mankind.
The government's important because they have the radar systems. They're in a position to collect the data.
This is a lie that has gone now for so long. How do you undo such a long-standing series of deceptions?
These people are telling stories. They're so abnormal they could never make them up.
I remember them putting a needle through my optic nerve.
There was a point like 10 years ago where I got to see what I call my daughter, which was an extraction of me mingled with their genetics.
I think that they may have been using me to produce hybrid offspring from the time of my first menses on throughout young adulthood.
We put animals in cages. We take chimpanzees and do medical experiments on them. What, it's no longer just if somebody else uses it on us.
What is the effect on a person's life who's had abduction experiences all of their lives? It's a club that nobody wants to belong to.
Well, greetings everyone. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Topic UFO. I am your host, Rick Schooler. What you just saw was the trailer to the film The Hidden Hand, Alien Contact and the Government Cover-Up, produced by Mr. James Carman. Mr. Carman will be with us in just a while to talk to us about this film, which has already, from what I understand, won several awards and has been the top 10 selling documentary on Google Play for the past several weeks. It has been touted as the field guide to the world of alien contact. So it sounds like it should be just a very interesting conversation here. Before we get to Mr. Carman, I would just like to mention that Topic UFO is currently in talks with a UK-based company to bring the show, Topic UFO, to the UK via satellite television, which I believe is called Sky TV over in the UK. So we are looking currently for potential sponsors, UK-based businesses that might be interested in sponsoring the show via commercial time, help make this a reality. So if you or someone you know has a business that they would like to advertise during the Topic UFO time slot, not sure what that'll be yet, but we would love to hear from you. And you can contact us at info@topicufo.com. Just send us an email. We'll get back to you and provide you with any information you may need. All right. So coming up here in just a moment, Mr. James Carman, the producer of The Hidden Hand, Alien Contact, and the Government Cover-Up. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this short commercial message.
3, 2, 1, blast off. She's up. Come in ideal countdown control. Ready for second launching.
Atlas moving into position.
Fuel her up.
All set.
Count down.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! There she goes!
Yes, you can be in command of your own ideal countdown. It's a real electronic missile base. You sit at the controls and move missiles into place. You count down. You blast off. You track the flight. The ideal countdown comes complete with moon missile and lunar probe, as well as a giant atlas. Get your electronic ideal countdown now, wherever good toys are sold.
It's a wonderful toy. It's ideal.
Well, welcome back, everyone. As I said, tonight's guest is Mr. James Carman. He is the producer of the film The Hidden Hand, Alien Contact, and the Government Cover-Up. Mr. Carman, are you out there, sir?
I am. Thanks for having me on.
You are very welcome, and thanks for taking the time to come speak with us. James, we saw the trailer to the film as this episode was just starting, and wow, what beautiful cinematography. And looks like you have some top-notch guests and interviews on this program. What is the overall objective of this film?
Well, there's a couple of objectives. One is I wanted to make a film that kind of portrayed the UFO ET phenomenon in all its facets and all of its depth. And I wanted it to be something that I could walk most people through it. And it's very dense, but still it kind of starts off with there's a real phenomenon here and very credible people talk about that. And then it goes into different aspects of it. And I think it's something for everyone. There's someone for UFO scholars and people who know a lot about ufology, and then also for people just open to it and interested, they can also learn quite a bit of just looking at it the first time.
Yeah, and there seems to be just this explosion of new people getting into the whole UFO ET subject. So this film would be good for them as well, huh? For the beginner and the intermediate or senior person.
Right, and because I do have a lot of like let's say the top people in the field, but I have a lot of other people, and then I've interviewed a lot of people that are not well known or have never been in a documentary. So in that sense, I think there's a lot there for everyone.
Excellent. Now I noticed that it's already won awards.
Yes, it's won 5 so far.
Wow, that's amazing. You must be very happy about that.
I am. I'm very happy.
Now, James, do you come from a UFO type background, or was this something new to you, a new subject as a producer?
Well, I come from a background I've always been very much versed in like religion and spirituality and paranormal literature, and had a lifelong interest in all that. And so I moved back to the United States. I'd lived in Europe for 10 years, and I was doing a project where I was making a healing video. And I would do this like every weekend, and I noticed there were some women who were quite distraught, and they were crying, and then I overheard them speaking about having, babies taken away from them in midterm, and also having hybrid children, and I thought that was all bizarre. And so I never really took it that seriously before. I'd read Whitley Strieber's book, Communion, and that shocked me to the core the first time I read that. And then I guess I promptly forgot about it. And then I also started meeting some people who said they were psychics and that they worked with the government. And so I just said, well, there's so much going on around here. Why don't I start investigating this and shooting some of these people, interviewing, and see what comes up, see what kind of film I can make.
Now, how long did it take you to produce the film in total?
Well, it was 8 years. Wow. That process, but I actually made another film in the interim. I made a film with Al Bielek and Gloria Hawker, but that was more of a narrative kind of film. And so after a while, I felt that doesn't really work for this subject matter. I should make a straight documentary. And so then I guess 6 years into to the process, I started working that way. And then the distribution took quite a while to find the distributor to get everything online and in sync with lawyers and contracts and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's a long process.
Yeah, I don't think people, or at least a lot of people, understand just how much headaches and red tape somebody like you goes through to get these things out.
They for sure don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not all glamorous being a producer, is it? Yeah.
No, and then they always say like say if I'm working on my next film, it's called Superconscious, and I might have shot 1 or 2, 3 interviews, and they say, oh, like when's your next film coming out? Am I going to be able to see it next month? You know, they just don't really understand the whole the editing process. There's so much that goes into it in terms of editing, color correction, the mix, the special effects, the lawyers, the contracts, so much that goes into it.
Oh, God. Well, I'm glad we have people like you that produce films like this and stick with it and make it because, like I said, the cinematography it just struck me right from the start. The imaging is just so crisp and beautiful.
Thank you. Well, I'm a cinematographer, so it's not hard for me. That's one thing I really love. Like, I love shooting. I love interviewing people. So whenever I have an opportunity, I always do it. And so I've got really a lot of stuff in the can. I would love to, at some point, make another version of this film, or let's say a sequel that goes in a little deeper. Because I have definitely enough material to do all of that, and so we'll just see how this one does, and then if the possibility presents itself, I'll make another version.
Now, has your film? Now, I don't know if it's been out long enough to if this question makes sense, but have you taken your film to any of the UFO film festivals or anything like that?
Well, I took it to one, and it won the EBE award, so I think that was good. As far as I know, that's kind of like the top UFO festival. And then I went there in McMinnville. There's one too. They showed it, and Paula Harris, she showed it at her first UFO Women Symposium.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, there's been maybe a couple really small festivals around in New Jersey that have shown my film.
Oh, that's great. No, that's excellent. So, out of all the people that you interviewed and all of the information that was gathered over this duration of time making this film, is there anything that really struck you, something maybe you didn't know about the topic, something that you had heard someone say during an interview that just really knocked you for one? You know what I'm saying? Or was all of this pretty much known?
I knew most of it. I mean, sometimes people would talk. I mean, if Joe Montaldo, who I like a lot, and who unfortunately isn't in the film, just because I wanted to keep it at 80 minutes. I didn't want to go longer, although it could have been easily 5 hours. He's a pretty amazing guy. He talks about, abductees having experiences in underground military bases that are populated by ET and by human military, and he gives some pretty grim accounts also in terms of, a lot of people say, well, just believe in Jesus and call his name and you'll be saved and ETs won't touch you anymore. And he gave some really grim accounts of how ETs countered that. And as to say that that works in no way. But of course, everyone has their own opinion. But I found him to be pretty great because he's, he interacts with so many experiencers that he has a very good view on things.
Yeah, very cross view on that. You mentioned that you come from a religious, spiritual background. Yet, I think some of the people in this film, I would have to assume, look at this from a very scientific viewpoint. Is that correct?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, how does that play in your mind? I mean, do you still view this subject from a religious, spiritual standpoint, or from a scientific, or are you leaning one way or another?
Well, I don't really distinguish between the two. I mean, I think, there's this old saying that, all magic, with the right amount of knowledge turns into technology. It appears as magic, but it's not really. It's just knowing how the universe works on that level. So I think there's a lot of that going on with the UFO phenomenon, ET phenomenon, in terms of interdimensionality, being able to travel faster than light, being able to project yourself and your essences into different dimensions. Basically the corporality that we think is reality is maybe just a very small part of what reality really is. And our science is catching up with all that. And if you study the Vedas at all, you know that there's a lot of wisdom in those traditions about that approach of looking at life. So, I really embrace anyone who looks at it in either way. A scientific way, I think, is always to be acknowledged and it's always to be recommended. And in a spiritual way, I think it's great as long as it's not from a Pollyanna way or a naive way, because I think that doesn't serve anyone to view this or the world in general in a way that's naive so I'm always want to talk to people who are very disciplined in their thinking and their research.
Yeah, understand. Is there anything that you didn't get to put in this film that you wanted to?
Oh, there's quite a bit. There's old chapters that didn't make it. I wanted to spend more time on the alien agenda, which I liked a lot. I like. Of course, I don't think we really know because ET is not very forthcoming about what they're up to, and most of the time when people interact with ET, their memories are wiped or they're given screen memories. But I think it's nice to postulate about that, and I also wanted to put in a chapter on ancient history and the connection with ET in ancient history.
Yeah, like the ancient biblical texts and that type of thing.
Yeah, or also the Sumerian texts, and of course the Manas. If you go back to ancient India, if you go back to the Mayans, the Incans, everywhere there's indications that this was a global culture at one point.
Yeah. I've talked to people, now for almost 2 years, from every viewpoint you can think of pretty much. And one thing that does keep coming back up, especially lately, is this connection to this ancient biblical text. Not a religious view, but just true facts that you can't overlook. So it's just a very strange subject, I must say. So what's next for you? You've got the film out now, and I'm sure you're trying to distribute it. Do you have any new projects coming up that we should be looking for over the next few years?
Well, I do have a film I'm working on right now. I just shot the poster for it yesterday. It's called Superconscious. It's a film about people who have special gifts and abilities. And I'm really looking forward to this because I think even more people can relate and resonate with this idea, and I'm hoping to inspire an even greater audience.
Wow. Interesting stuff. So James, where can people get your film, The Hidden Hand, Alien Contact, and the Government Cover-Up? Where can they get it?
Well, you can go to my website, hiddenhandthemovie.com. That's hiddenhandthemovie.com. And on the menu bar, there's a link, and it shows you all the different places where you can buy the film. It's on Vimeo, it's on iTunes, it's on Amazon Instant, it's on Google Play, it's on Vudu and Xbox, I think.
Wow.
And so And also, if you go to Facebook, hiddenhandthemovie.com, I have a Facebook page. I'd love to hear from everyone and keep up the dialogue. And for Twitter, it's hashtag The Hidden Hand. So, yeah, I'm active on all those fronts, and I'm very keen to interact with people.
Oh, okay, excellent. I'm all into that for sure. I'm just wondering if you were to, I guess I should ask this: have you ever seen a UFO?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Well, please tell us about it.
Well, I have two friends that are quite extraordinary. One is Antonio Urzi. I don't know if you know him. He lives in Milan. And I've used some of this footage in my film, but he's the kind of guy, it doesn't matter where he goes in the world, he can always see or film UFOs. And he would be staying here, and he would say, and we would leave the apartment, and he would say, okay, 4:30 this afternoon. And I would say, oh, okay. And then we would go about our day, and then at 4:30 we would be walking along the street. He'd just pull his camera out and start shooting up in the air. And at first I would have to orient myself to what he was shooting, but then I could see that he was shooting two small spheres up in the air that were kind of moving and acting like UFOs. And then I have another friend of mine, Mark Brinkerhoff, who he's a contactee, and he's been filming and photographing UFOs since the early 70s. And he came to my birthday party, and instead of coming and saying happy birthday, he was just, a group of people were gathered around him, and they were pointing at these three orbs that were kind of moving across the sky and changing and then hanging and staying in the same place. And that was very clear. It was very easy to see.
Unbelievable. Now, I've talked to people that, quote unquote, say they can conjure up UFOs at will. I'm not going to go one way or another as far as my personal feelings on that. But you truly feel that this friend of yours has that ability, huh?
Well, Antonio certainly has a connection with them. He knows when it's possible,
okay.
And he knows where they'll be and about what time. And Mark Brinkerhoff also seems to have a connection where sometimes he'll feel them. He'll go out to the window with his camera and he'll shoot. He's not the best photographer, unfortunately, but he has that connection. He's had it for decades, and he's still shooting. And, some of it's quite good.
Wow. I might have to try to get a hold of this person and have them on the show. Maybe they'd come and talk to us.
Oh, they'd love to talk to you. I mean, I can give you Mark's contact, and Antonio, his English isn't that great, but maybe you speak Italian.
Grazie and ciao bella is about all I know.
So, but
yeah, that would be great. Love to have him on.
Yeah, I'll put you guys in contact.
Well, listen, we're getting down here to the end of the show, James. But I just wanted to ask you one final question. Your personal thoughts. Why do you think they're here? I think people that watch this show pretty much already, believe in UFOs. They know they exist. But I think the question at this time is, what are they doing here? What do they want? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's a little bit more complicated than that, because I think there's more than one group, and each group has their own agenda. What I would say is they've always been here. So in that sense, I wouldn't think it's just a new phenomenon that's come here. I mean, and indeed, if we were created by them, then we are a huge experiment, which in some degree they would be responsible for, I would imagine. And so there would be some oversight, and maybe they're trying to rectify some of what they did in the past, or maybe they don't care and they just want to make sure they don't get any blowback from whatever we're up to. Because, I mean, you can imagine the human race, it's going to be pretty extensively populating the galaxy here very shortly, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So in a short while, we're going to come face to face with, either people that are our allies or not.
Yeah. Yeah. God, it's mind-boggling to even think about the possibilities. Like you say, everybody's got their own opinion on it, and that's what's very interesting about this topic, but it's also very frustrating because, trying to get to the truth, I don't know if we'll ever get there or not.
Well, I think we can get there, but what we need is a lot more openness generally in our society to where we can say, okay, we can study this. This is allowed, and this
it's
isn't
not
going to be
taboo.
ridiculed. And so then we can build. Science works when you can build on, say this theory is true or false. Let's test. If you can actually come and shake an ET's hand or have however you want to have the interaction, the mind meld or whatever, and then that can be documented. And I'm not saying that it isn't happening, but it's done all under lock and key in a very secret way. And I don't think that helps us as a civilization.
No, just the select few are getting the positives out of it. Yeah, I agree. Well, listen, James, I'm so glad we were able to get together tonight and have you on. Again, that name of the film is The Hidden Hand, Alien Contact and the Government Cover-Up. I'll put up James's website here, www.hiddenhandthemovie.com, and then there's a link there where you can click on to several choices of where and how you get the movie. James, thanks so much again. Really appreciate it. The film looks absolutely beautiful. Congratulations on a job very well done.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your support.
All right, and I'll tell you what, I'll email you regarding your friends there, and we'll see if we can't get them on the show.
He'd love to come on.
All right, very good. All right, James, well, listen, you have a wonderful rest of the evening.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Open the door, you'll find the secret. To find the answer is to keep it.